Mindfulness would be being aware of your present moment and your present moment only. So when you're in a mindfulness state, your goal is to be present. Like, so whatever's happening here and now. So for example, I know we are having a conversation. I'm purposely not thinking about the recording that I did not too long ago. I'm purposely not looking into the future of, okay, well, I hope this interview goes well, and how is my ride going to show up and get me home, and that staying in the present moment and being totally aware of the present moment is mindfulness. What led me down the path of mindfulness was actually, I was still in church when it happened. I noticed how people would react a certain way depending on what the music was doing. They would also react a different way depending on what was being said. And it felt like to me, for years, it felt like to me, like it, to not belittle anybody's, religious background, but to me it felt like programming. If I play a certain thing, you're going to do this. If this is said a certain way, you're going to do that. Because a lot of times religion tells you to focus in on a certain thing, and it tells you, hey, let's be centered in, and let's focus on God or Allah, whatever that deity is. And I thought that was being mindful. What I found was that a little bit later on in my journey of going from church musician to going into like Reiki and holistic practices, I learned that going within, going inside, going inward was where I found my true mindfulness. It was, okay, let me focus on what I actually need without the pressures of who is around me and what they are doing and what's expected of me. Let me find that center place in me. And so once I started going through that process, I became a Reiki master in like 3 different modalities, and that helped me understand that center, that mindfulness place. And so once I started practicing that more, I just got better and better at it. It starts at the beginning. It starts with making the decision to be a music creator. That is where anxiety and depression kicks in for anybody that's in this industry. It starts there because when you're making that decision, you're automatically setting yourself up for judgment. And so that judgment, you create an anxiety. Well, you don't create it, but the anxiety comes on because before you even start, you're thinking, I hope somebody likes it. What are they going to think about it? Is this what they want? And then depression also kicks in because after you go through the process a little bit, you're reflecting on what you already did and how could I have done it better? And should I go do it again? So, and then staying in either one of those places takes you out of being in that mindfulness place. It takes you out of being center. And so it starts in the beginning, as soon as you jump into the industry. And it's important to learn mindfulness because throughout your career, if you don't, you can get stuck in either one of those places. And so, it's really, really important to make it a daily practice. And it's not something that anybody is ever going to say, I'm the master of mindfulness. You never do. That's why they call it a practice. Every single day, you're learning how to do it. You're learning how to be better at it. Okay, so the anxiety of being a music creator hit the hardest when I was in college. When I was awarded a full scholarship at Morgan State University for music. And I went in having previously been the person that was looked at as the gifted child, the talented child. So I started in music when I was 3 or 4 years old. I started there. I'm one of those, what do they call it? Prodigy kid. Thank you. I'm one of those prodigy kids. And I was the only one that could play keyboard and piano and the only one that could hear music naturally. When I went to Morgan is when I found out, oh, you're not the only one, buddy. And then they were significantly better than what I was. And so the anxiety kicked in the hardest. That was the first time it kicked in the hardest because I kept looking towards the future. Like, am I good enough to be here? Imposter syndrome. Okay, well, when I do play and when I do sing, how am I going to be judged? Am I going to be able to keep my scholarship? Am I going to be able to make a career out of this? All of that hit, and it's something that I had a lot of trouble dealing with because I didn't have the tools back then. I didn't have the tools to deal with it. If I had the information then that I have now about the anxiety that I experienced at Morgan, I would tell myself, it's okay. It's okay. You be you and let them be them. It's only one you. I would say that. I know because of my thought process that would have made sense to me even then, because I walk in it now. It does create stress when you're trying to balance both your personal life and your music creator life. The struggle is, number one, is thinking that they're two separate things. That's the first thing. And so you present differently when you look at yourself. Oh, there's a music creator and then there's the personal. For me, what I learned in that was not to separate them, to just be one. And, so in my daily life, if you see me in the street, there's an aura about me that says, oh, he does something in music. It's because I didn't separate. I learned not to have them separated. So that's the first step, is like learning not to separate your artistry from your actual who you are. The second thing is dealing with the conflict of being your personal. If you can't make them one, it's dealing with the conflict between the two. So at home, I'm dad, I'm husband, I'm cook, but in the studio, I'm thug, and I'm the guy with the money calling the shots, or I'm the keyboardist that's so everybody's looking at in awe. It's that conflict of, okay, well, wait, what role am I playing at what point? And so that can cause a lot of the things. It can cause the anxiety. It can cause the depression. It can cause the addictive factors, because you need something to bring you down and calm you down, or you need something to bring you up. So those are where I see like a lot of the problems come in. Meditation is just focus. It's just really being focused. So meaning whatever you consider yourself meditating on or meditating about, it's focusing on that thing. It could be, you could have a walking meditation and you're really just concentrating on how your steps are going and what your breathing is. It's also making sure that you're not too distracted from what that meditation is, meaning you're going to get distracted, but not to sit with the distraction. So let me go to why I spread the word about sound healing, why I teach it, why I'm invested in it, is because I personally know from my own study, from my own experimentation, like the effects that it has. So of course, I used myself first it started, wanting to understand what is this note? And that note took me to what a frequency is. Then the vibration aspect, it took me to, okay, well, when I play this chord and it resonates a certain way, why does somebody feel it differently versus me leaving it as a sustained chord or a sustained note? And what I learned was those frequencies and vibrations, actually, it's more than just a feel-good thing. It's more than just, oh, that sounds nice. It's actually doing something to our cellular structure, that it does do something to us physically. And when I learned that, it was like, why aren't we using this more? Like, why not? And so I fell in love with the idea because once I started experimenting with some of my clients' music, they would come and record, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna embed this frequency in. They just did 7 songs with me. Let's see what their audience thinks about the album, what their audience thinks about the EP. And then the client would come back, what did you do to this song? Because everybody likes this song. I like this song. What happened? What did you do? Oh, well, I embedded a little frequency in there. Well, what is that? Why'd you do that? Well, you said you were singing about love, so why not put a frequency for the heart chakra in your song? So that way it would resonate with people differently. Well, and I liked the effect of that happening. Connection for me is important. The thing for me is that connection is not permanent. To me, connection is, again, in that moment. Whatever that moment is, it could be this 10 minutes, it could be 10 years. That's what connection is. In plant life, trees, plants, underground, they are all networked together. It's called the mycelial network. And they communicate to each other underground. So if one small tree is getting eaten by a worm, it'll send a signal out, hey, protect yourself, this is happening to me. And then the other plant life they go into a protective state. If that tree doesn't survive, the connection is gone. So for me, a connection means in that moment, whatever that moment is, we're going to talk, we're going to communicate, we're going to get what we need from each other. It's going to be reciprocated. It's great. But there comes a time when that connection dies. When that connection dies, I'm not trying to pump it and rejuvenate it and make it happen again. I release it. If it goes away, it goes away. It's fine. Did I live in the moment of that connection when I was supposed to? Or did I have ill intent? Was I selfish? Or was I people pleasing? I'm not thinking about myself too much. There's a balance that has to happen. So for me, a connection is, okay, in this moment, however long this moment lasts, am I being my authentic self the entire time? So that way, if the connection is broken, there's no regret. My relationship with MusiCare started when I was introduced to the Recording Academy, which is, everybody else calls it the Grammys. The Grammys is just a part of what the Recording Academy does. Music Cares is the nonprofit collaborator with the Recording Academy. I was attracted to them because as soon as I was in the Recording Academy, they were the first things that I saw being active. They had different things that they would do. They say, okay, well, we're going to talk about what it's like to lose your hearing, and okay, well, or the music is too loud. You need to plug your ears. Okay, well, we're going to do custom earplugs. Come out and do this, and it's free. They would do things like, okay, well, if you are a music creator and you're struggling and something happens where you can't be a music creator for an extended amount of time, and you can prove to us that this is how your income came in, they will say, okay, you proved it, here, let's help. And because they're a nonprofit, there are no strings or anything attached. You just have to be authentic about who you are and what you do, and they're there to help. My love for that is extreme because musicians, we don't get the attention that we deserve for the things that we do. We are vulnerable with everything that we do. As a creator, as a creative, we are always vulnerable to the opinions. We're vulnerable to our lifestyle because the opinions will impact our lifestyle. If we're being too authentically in us and it's way outside and it's not accepted, we could be isolated, and then that impacts our livelihood. To be in an environment where somebody feeds in, hey, let's do this workshop on this craft that I know you need help with, and it's free. Hey, let's offer this aid and help because we know you need it, and it's free. Come listen to this person speak or listen to this panel, about subject matter that directly affects your career. And all you have to do is maintain who you are being a creative within this environment. I think that's important. And I've really wanted to dig in and help them, especially in the mindfulness place, because it's all too common that when you hear about a music creator being addicted to something, having extreme anxiety or depression, it's commonplace. And I really don't think that it has to be that way. And I really think that there can be change. I do think that there can be some type of impact where attention is brought to mindfulness and meditation and sound healing and self-care, enough that it can become a regular part of conversation in the music community. And this relationship that I had with them, it's helping me to be able to get that word out more and impact more people to make it a regular conversation.